How's it going, guys? Andy here, back in the potting shed. Now today I'm doing a little repot with my spider plant that is sitting over my shoulder currently. Now I've done one of these recently for this spider plant, so it doesn't need a new pot, but I think Iceman, it was in the comments, mentioned that maybe it deserves to be in a hanging basket. And as you can see, I was at my local DIY store picking up a few tools the other day for a project that I'm going to tell you about later. And I saw this hanging basket and thought, this looks really cute. It's one of these seagrass basket things. It looks really nice, and I thought that will work really well with my spider plant, because as it happens, where it was sat in my kitchen, some of the longer leaves were now starting to come over the pot and just sitting on the counter. And you know, I was moving things around, those leaves are going to get caught and get chewed up, so it really needs a little bit more space, and a hanging basket like that will be perfect. The only thing is the basket itself is bigger than the pot that I've got it in, and it kind of is getting a little bit dwarfed. It's sat down in there and it looks okay like that, but if I put it in a bigger pot, it's going to have more space to grow and it's going to sit up a little bit better, and basically I think it will look better. I can either put something underneath it to move it up or just put it in a bigger pot. So let's get started and see what we can do. So here it is. It's been hanging it up over there. I really like the pot. I think it's a nice basket, sorry. Now if we can get this out without damaging it too much, I'll show you what's going on. You see the depth of the pot compared to there, it's hard to see, but it's about 2 inches too small. So when I put it in here, it gets totally drowned. So I'm going to have a look under the bench and see if I can find something a bit deeper, which will match it up okay. So bear with me. This is why it's a good idea to keep all your old pots if you've got space, because firstly, it's great for the environment to reuse plastic anyway. And secondly, you never know, if you're doing projects or moving things around, you never know what might fit perfectly in a new pot. So let's have a look at this purple one. That's not far off at all. You see that? It finishes just before the lip there. That might do nicely. The height's about right. That's a bit too small. I'll just check some of these other ones I've got just in case I've got something better, but I think that's probably going to be fine. That's the same height. That one's a bit too big. Yeah, I think these are all going to be a bit too big, so this is the one, I think. That just fits in there perfectly, which means the top of the plant is going to be a lot higher up. It's going to sit there rather than in there. And that will make all the difference. So let's put this to one side for now. Don't want it to get dirty. I'll hang it over there behind me for now, so it's out of the way. So yeah, this one's only just been out the pot, but I'll be very careful. Wow. Can you believe it? I don't know how long this has been, like a couple of weeks was it since we repotted this? This thing grows unbelievably. There's roots coming out of the bottom of the pot already. Can you believe it? These spider plants are unreal. Look at that. There's roots growing all the way through already. I mean, to be fair, these spider plants are quite happy to be pot bound anyway. It doesn't really bother them like a lot of plants do, so it's not an issue for it. What to do with this, because it's going in an inside pot, there is a plastic liner, but I don't want water sitting in there really. I never really trust those plastic liners to be 100% waterproof. Ideally, if I can find a smaller saucer to go in the bottom, just stop the water coming out, that would be ideal. I wonder what I've got kicking around. Okay, this will do. What I found, I've got one of these little plastic hanging baskets, and they come with these integrated little bottoms that just keep the water in there to hold on to the water, and I think that will be just the right size actually. Made to measure. It literally, let me see if I can get this, it literally will fit in there. It's exactly the right size. Let me see if I can get you on the other camera. Can you see that? You couldn't get that any better. That is perfect. So that's just going to retain the water, as long as you're mindful that that's there, so to not overwater it. But what that's going to do is just going to catch the water, and maybe if you put too much in, it's just going to sit at the bottom. But that's just going to seal up those holes there nicely, and that's going to stop the water going into the bottom of that nice basket. As you can see, it's just this sort of plastic layer. They're designed for inside pots. They're not really designed to have water going through. It's not going to be good for it. And the tiniest little pinprick of a hole in there is just going to come straight through all over your kitchen. So that is a bit of luck. So let's pop him in the pot then. I just took the soil out and put it in this pot to begin with whilst I was doing that. Let's get rid of these. They're not needed now. Alrighty, pleased with that. So as always, we just want to pop it in and offer it up. Now, in fact, I think it was Iceman that told me these little, when I was repotting this last time, can you see these little tubers in here, in the roots there? There we go, there's one there and one there. This is why these are so drought tolerant, apparently. This is something I learned from the comments of the last video. Iceman told me that the reason why these will dry out and stay looking fine is these tubers will fill up with water and act as a reservoir for the plant, and if it doesn't get watered for a week or 2 weeks, it's still going to use water that it keeps in these tubers, which, you know, I didn't know that. So thank you, Iceman, for that education. You learn something new every day on this channel, which is fantastic. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. I've had I've had spider plants. I think my grandmother probably gave me a spider plant when I was younger, probably 10 years old, something like that, because she had money trees and spider plants. She had jade plants and spider plants, and I probably got a cutting from her. So I've been growing these my whole life on and off, and I did not notice these tubers, and I did not know about that. So that was interesting to learn. So I'm just offering it up just to see where the level is. You want to try and keep the level the same. You don't want to bury it too deep. You don't want to keep it too proud. Just about the same level. I'm going to take a bit out. It's always handy just to have a generic pot lying around if you need to decant a bit more soil out of the pot. Yeah, it's about right, I think. Tiny bit more maybe. That should do us. Don't forget to make sure you get all the leaves out so you don't trap any leaves in between the pot. And as always, now we're just going to sprinkle the compost down between the edge of the pot. Nice and easy. I've just realised I haven't turned my heater off. I hope that's not too distracting. It's a bit chilly today in the potting shed, so I put my little fan heater on. I usually turn it off before I start recording, but I must have forgotten, so I apologise if you've been able to hear that on the video audio. But it's still, I think we've just gone into the first day of spring a few days ago, so although it has been quite nice here, we're still getting very low temperatures at night, and today it's only about 5 degrees Celsius, so it's not particularly warm yet, but summer's coming. Summer's on its way. The days are getting longer. It's staying light longer. We're nearly getting to 5 p.m. and it's still light. And by midsummer it'll be 10 p.m. and it'll be still light. I love those long summer evenings. I'm looking forward to that. When I was younger, in my early 20s, I lived in Holland, just outside Amsterdam, and in that part of the world they're a little bit further on in the time zone, and it would stay light until 11 o'clock in the evening, which is crazy. So as always, we're just working our way around here. I know you've seen me do this with a spider plant just a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to go on too much. It's a simple process. Just pat it down, make sure there's compost all the way through. If you want to get yourself a garden cane, something like that, just to work it down in between the roots. Just be delicate, don't damage the roots. But this helps get the soil further down in between the pot and the roots. I don't always mention this on these repotting videos, but it's a good idea to give it a water afterwards as well, because what that will do is push the fine grains of soil down in between the roots as well. Now, if you're putting it in a free draining pot, unlike this, I would give it good water, as in a reasonable amount, and let it flush all the way through, and that will really help to work the soil down in between the roots. Now this one, we've blocked off the holes on this one, as I've just showed you, so it's not a good idea to give it a big water, because you need to control the amount of water putting it into the pot, because it's not got anywhere to go. But still worth giving it a water when you're finished all the same, just not as much as you would with a free draining pot. That's it. There we go. It's got a bit more room. Like I said, these spider plants, they don't really need it. They're quite happy to be root restricted. So if you have it in the same pot for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's not going to be a problem. Find a pot that you like, find a place for it that you like, and enjoy it, and it will be fine. It's one of the easiest plants to grow at home. It will kind of tolerate most environments, so it's a great plant to use. Now, the moment of truth. Let's get it in the hanging basket and see what it looks like. Okay, here it is. Again, try and be careful not to crush the leaves. Oh yeah, that fits perfectly. Carefully help the leaves in between the rope. They're easily crushed. once it gets established in this hanging basket, the leaves will find their own way. That will be fine. But obviously when you're putting it in, you need to carefully decide which way the leaves are going to go around so they're not restricted. There we go. That looks pretty good, don't you think? What do you reckon? Yeah. At the moment it's leaning one way a bit. There's less leaves over this side because I've been keeping it in the kitchen and it's been growing towards the light. So it's a good idea to remember, not that I do too often, is to turn your plant on a regular basis and just turn it round so it's more even. This one is kind of coming over one side a little bit. But there we are. I think that's going to look great. Let's get it up in the kitchen.